Let's begin by exploring the concept of global cycles of change. A fascinating book often referenced in this context is Hamlet's Mill, published in 1969 by two highly respected scholars. They propose that ancient civilizations possessed advanced knowledge about astronomical phenomena, including the precession of the equinoxes. This is a slow, gradual shift in the orientation of Earth's axis, occurring at a rate of about 50 arc seconds per year. Now, if you've heard of the vernal equinox, the day when day and night are equal in length, it's important to understand that the position of the sun at this moment slowly shifts westward each year against the general eastward motion of the sun, moon, and planets. This motion, known as precession, not to be confused with precession, is subtle but significant. To visualize it, consider that the moon spans about half a degree in the sky. At 50 arc seconds per year, it takes roughly 72 years for the vernal equinox to shift by 1 full degree. So, over a lifetime, early astronomers could detect a measurable change. Of course, directly observing the sun at the equinox isn't easy, so ancient cultures likely developed indirect methods to track this shift. The authors of Hamlet's Mill believed that ancient myths encoded knowledge of this cycle. They saw the equinoxes and solstices as shifting through the zodiac, influencing the rise and fall of civilizations in what they called the Great Year, a 25,920-year cycle. While the exact length may vary slightly due to changes in the precession rate, the number has symbolic significance. These scholars argued that precession was seen as more than just astronomical. It symbolized cosmic ages, each associated with floods, fires, and rebirth. Ancient civilizations believed that these celestial patterns were tied to catastrophes on Earth. In Greek and Persian traditions, myths of global floods and fiery destruction, cataclysms and conflagrations, recur, often linked to planetary alignments. Whether literal or metaphorical, these stories speak of cosmic influences on Earth's fate. Modern science supports the idea of cyclic climate change. Climate records from ice cores and ocean sediments show a clear pattern, alternating glacial and interglacial periods. Our current interglacial, the Holocene, is relatively warm and stable. But just 20,000 years ago, Earth was locked in an ice age with sea levels over 400 feet lower. During such glacial periods, vast ice sheets covered much of North America, Europe, and Asia. Cities like Boston, Chicago, and New York were buried under a mile of ice. The water trapped in ice lowered sea levels, exposing continental shelves and creating new coastlines. These areas would have been prime locations for human habitation, yet most are now underwater and inaccessible to archaeologists. Now, imagine an ice age setting in again. Water evaporates, falls as snow, but never melts. Ice builds year after year. This happened rapidly during the late Wisconsin glacial maximum, about 28,000 to 15,000 years ago. Sea levels dropped, and massive ice sheets transformed Earth's surface. The mystery deepens when we consider what happened next. Around 14,600 years ago, Earth began to warm. Sea levels rose gradually until a dramatic event known as Meltwater Pulse 1b. Suddenly, vast amounts of water entered the oceans. Then, around 12,900 years ago, Earth was hit with another shock, the Younger Dryas. This was a sudden return to glacial cold, interrupting thousands of years of warming. It lasted about 1,300 years. Some scientists suggest orbital variations called Milankovitch cycles caused the initial warming. These cycles involve changes in Earth's tilt, orbit, and wobble, influencing climate over tens of thousands of years. But the Younger Dryas seems different. Its abrupt onset and end suggest an external trigger. Some researchers point to a cosmic event, perhaps a comet impact or massive solar flare. Whatever the cause, it reversed the warming trend and re-expanded glaciers. Then, around 11,600 years ago, another sudden warming occurred. This event ended the Younger Dryas and ushered in the Holocene, the warm, stable epoch we live in today. Civilization as we know it began shortly afterward. We see the first urban centers, the rise of agriculture, domestication of animals, and development of complex societies around 8,000 to 9,000 years ago. Languages spread, myths were codified, sacred geometry and astronomy flourished. Yet the idea remains. Is this truly the first civilization? Modern humans, anatomically indistinguishable from us, have existed for at least 180,000 to 200,000 years. That's over 7,000 generations. It stretches belief that all those generations left no trace of civilization. Could there have been earlier cycles of civilization, ones erased by cataclysm and time? Many ancient traditions hint at forgotten epochs, destroyed by flood and fire, only to be reborn. If civilization rose during previous interglacials like the Eemian period, 116,000 to 129,000 years ago, would we even know? Geological processes, erosion, and tectonic activity would erase most evidence. Our own modern civilization would likely vanish within 10,000 to 20,000 years if abandoned. Only massive stone structures might endure. Most coastal cities would be submerged. Concrete and steel would crumble. Plastics and radiation might remain, but even they would degrade. We also know from myth and memory that ancient structures like the Egyptian pyramids or Mayan temples were aligned with celestial bodies. Civilizations across the globe used sacred geometry to design their cities and monuments. They mapped Earth's energies and built in harmony with the cosmos. This hidden knowledge, now largely lost, may have once connected Earth to the stars. Sacred geometry, geomantic surveys, and astronomical alignments show a deep understanding of cosmic order. Could rediscovering this wisdom help us reconnect with nature and create a more balanced future? The cycles continue. If history teaches us anything, it's that Earth undergoes periodic transformations. Civilizations rise during warm interglacials, flourish, and then vanish when the climate shifts. The Holocene has lasted about 11,600 years. But interglacials usually last between 10,000 and 15,000 years. We may be nearing the end. Global warming grabs headlines, but it's global cooling that has historically ended civilizations. The Little Ice Age, just a few centuries ago, caused crop failures, famines, and social unrest. If another full glacial period begins, the impact will be far greater. So we must ask, are we prepared? And more importantly, are we the first to face such a turning point, or simply the latest in a long forgotten cycle of rise, fall, and rebirth?